Okay, so we've got a data table here, and our data is giving us the temperatures at noon in a town for 50 days. And we've got different ranges of temperatures over here, which is giving us our grouped data. So we've got 8 to 12, 12 to 16, 16 to 20, 20 to 24, and 24 to 28, and the number of days in the frequency column that we had temperatures in these groups. For part A, we're being asked for the modal class interval. So the mode is the most popular, so the modal class is going to be the one with the highest frequency. Biggest mistake to make would be to look at your frequencies, pick out 21 and write that on your line. That's not what they're asking for. They're asking for the group that is within. So the class interval is just a mathematical term for the group, and so we're talking about this group here. And so that's what you write on your answer line. So just copy out exactly the same as what they've got written down. So 20 being less than t being less than or equal to 24. For part B, they would like us to calculate the estimated mean for the temperature. Now, it's going to be an estimated mean, not just because you make it up, but because we haven't got the actual values. I know that I've got 6 values that are between 8 and 12, but I don't know the actual values. So, your method here is to use your midpoint and use your midpoint times by the frequency. So although we've got a lot of space down here for the question, I would actually do quite a lot of my workings up here because I would extend this table. So I would start off by working out my midpoint, so halfway between 8 and 12, and some of you may be more confident at this than me, but I quite like to sometimes count it out on my fingers. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so 10 was in the middle. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, so 14's in the middle. And once you start to spot the pattern of what's happening, it's easier to do the others quicker. So the next one's going to be 18, then 22, and then 26. I've now got my midpoints, and so I'm now going to add a column on here, which is going to be my midpoint times by my frequency. And I'm going to write it up here so that I can keep my methods nice and clearly shown. Now, I would use my calculator, make sure I don't make any mistakes. So, first one, 10 times 6 gives me 60. Next one, 14 times by 8 gives me 112. Next one, 18 times by 13, which gives me 234. Next one, 22 times by 21, 462. And the final one, 26 times by 2, gives me 52. Now, it's the totals that is the key to working out my estimated mean. So I need my total frequency, and I also need my total for my midpoint times by frequency. Now, my total frequencies should add up to 50, because I'm told that in the question, but I could add them up from that table just to check. But the real one that I need to be checking on is my midpoint times frequency. So 60 plus 112 plus 234 plus 462 plus the 52, all just entered into my calculator in one go, equals 920. So I've now got the building blocks for what I need. So to actually calculate my estimated mean, which if you remember is what we were after, I'm going to use this total here, so my total of my midpoint times by frequency, divided by my total frequency. So that was 920 divided by 50, and you can either write it as a fraction or with a division in there. So I'm going to do 920 divided by 50, and my calculator puts it into a fraction, so I press that SD button and it gives me 18.4. So my estimated mean is 18.4 degrees C. This is a long question, so it also has a part C, which is asking us to draw a frequency polygon. Now, a frequency polygon, don't get this confused with a cumulative frequency graph, just uses the frequencies I was given in the question, and it also uses the midpoints that we found for our estimated mean. So we've got all the information we need, and that's what we're going to be plotting together. So I'm going to be plotting the midpoint with my frequency with a little cross on my graph over here. So make sure that you give yourself a chance to have a look at the scales. So this one I'm going up so that 2 big squares up is 5, and across the bottom here of my sort of middle-sized squares, I suppose, here, it's going up 2 from 8 to 10. So make sure you understand how the scale works. So the first one, I want to plot a 10 as being 6. So what I need to know is that each 2 of my little squares is actually going to be equal to 1. So it might help you to label out, not all of it, but some of it, just showing what each one is worth, so that you can then make sure that you're plotting them in the correct place. So 10 being 6 is going to be 2 little squares up above the 5 line in the vertical direction. The next one I need to plot is 4 being 8. So 14, being 8 here. Again, I need to count up carefully. So 2 above was 6, another 2 would take me to 7, another 2 would take me to 8. So that would be 14 being a frequency of 8. The next one is at 18 being 13. So again, I need to carefully look at this scale. So I need to go above from 10. 2 squares up would be 11, another 2 squares up would be 12, another 2 squares up would take me to 13. Next one is at 22 being 21. So finding 22 is not a problem, and then 21 is going to be 2 little squares above 20. And then my final one is at 26 being 2. So going up from 26, I'm going to need to go 4 little squares up to represent 2. So I've got my crosses drawn. I then need to join them up with straight lines. So for a frequency polygon, it's straight lines connecting those points. So very carefully with a ruler, each one point to point as you go along, nice straight lines until you've got all of your points connected in, and that's what your frequency polygon should look like for your 2 marks.